Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, or in this case tonight, we're doing part 8 of the story. Man leaves cheating wife in hotel with nothing, but that discovery was only the beginning. And guys, I'm continuing on this story from the part 7 I did a couple hours ago. I appreciate you guys waiting. I know it's driving you nuts, because you want to hear more about these wackos. Not the guy telling the story, but the wacko women in the story. And where we left off, that guy, Phil's soon-to-be ex-wife Ellie was blackmailing him, saying she had this dirt on him that could jeopardize his relationship with his father, and she wanted to give him this horrible deal that he'd stay married to her. And this guy's pretty much like F you, bullshit. So we're going to continue on where things left off. And if you missed that part somehow, go back and watch them, and you can pick up here. So he continues, Ellie then finished by telling me that if I wanted to get in a pissing contest over who has the most to lose, if our secrets went public, I'd lose that contest. I will lose way more than her. I should just realize that she's now fully in control of my life, and that I better get used to it. Again, like I said in the other video, I would rather live under a bridge, warming my hands by a fire, eating garbage, than be somebody else's essentially property and at the mercy of somebody else, humiliating me and all that. No way in hell would I agree to this. Even if the worst case scenario happens, like the father would cut this guy off and everything like that, the guy would bounce back to a better situation than being with her. But his lawyer wife here has a history of threatening people, making a-hole comments like this and trying to scare people into submission. She doesn't want to live with a grump like her father. She held out her hand and said she needed keys to my townhouse so she could start moving back in. A big triumphant smile she had. I told her to go F herself. Her smile disappeared. She looked confused. I got up and left. Good for you, bro. I called my attorney from the car and told him that we're going ahead with the divorce. He said that the paperwork is filed and we don't need to do anything else at this point. We just need to get through the 1-year waiting period. 1 year, man, huh? So I'm guessing this is recent. 1 year of waiting on this whole thing. Holy shit. I'd rather be penniless on the street than remain married to that witch. I'm not her father. I just need to find out if I'm going to be penniless and on the street. Exactly, bro. By you saying that has shown you have learned a lot by watching my channel, other channels, and all that. No fucking real man would ever accept those terms. Better to be penniless and starting from scratch than those terms from her. Good for you. I called my father from the car and told him that we need to talk. Good. Go to your dad. You control the narrative, not her. He invited me over for lunch. I arrived and told him we have something important to discuss. I explained that Ellie told me that Mom said that I wasn't his son. I was a biological son of her lover. I continued that I understand if he wanted nothing to do with me. I loved him and will always consider him my father, but understood if he didn't want me around anymore. He probably didn't need me as a constant reminder of my mother's betrayal and lies. I'd pack up my desk and be gone from work as soon as it's convenient for him. I'll sell the townhouse to pay off my debt to him. It's not what I want, but I understand he never wants to see me again. My father frowned and said this is really bad. He suspected I might not be his kid. How does my mother know he's not my father? I explained about the blood types. He thought for a while and said that we're going to have to make some changes to the company. He was sadly shaking his head. My father continued by asking if Ellie was planning to blackmail me with this information. To get what? I explained what Ellie told me about remaining married and the post-nup agreement. So Ellie plans to divorce me after I inherit and take half. I nodded. Maybe, he said, he should sell the company and leave the proceeds to a charity. What do I think? I told him that it's his company to do it with as he pleases. I'll continue in whatever role of the company he wants, or leave if he wants me to. He said that selling the company and leaving the proceeds to charity will be a problem. He wants to own all the stock in his company, a private corporation, but he's been transferring company stock to me as a gift every year since I graduated high school. The stock amount he transfers each year is the equivalent of what you can give someone without paying a gift tax. In a few years, I would have been the majority stockholder. It would have then been my company. Good thing he found out now, as I'm not his son. He just has to figure out what is the best way to get back the stock he's already given me. I told him I'll help in any way he can. Can I just assign the stock back to him? So, this is so terrible on so many fronts. It is not our guy Phil's fault that his mother was a cheating WHORE and he's the child of somebody else. And try to imagine this. Our guy here, Phil, who's telling this story here, finds this out. And he's being threatened at by his soon-to-be ex and trying to picture what's going to happen going on here. And he's keeping it pretty cool. But you find out your dad is not your dad. That's pretty heartbreaking. And the dad finds out his son is not his son. And you can't blame the dad for being pissed and all that and everything here. But, we'll see how this goes. He asked why I thought he would fire me. I replied that I'm not his son. He doesn't owe me anything. He laughed and he said that regardless of whose son I am, in the years I've been running the company, profits have increased at a higher rate than they ever have before. Dad is a true businessman. Did I think he was such a bad businessman that he'd fire someone who makes him money? But we have to make a change. He looked at me sadly and said that right now I'm running operations for the company and he's doing the financial stuff. That has to change. He wants me to start getting involved in the financial part, but continue running operations too. Do I want to do that? Wait, I thought I'd have to leave without a job. Now I'm doing operations and learning the financial end. I thought about asking for a raise, but maybe not the best time to bring that up. No, dude, it's not the best time to bring that up. My father started laughing. He told me to relax. I'm his biological son. He was just having some fun with me. Have I looked in the mirror? Except that he's much better looking than I am. He and I look exactly alike. My mother told him the same nonsense about blood types years ago when he found out about their affair years ago. Oh, thanks, Dad, for putting me through all that shit. I almost shit a fucking brick here in the boardroom. Okay. My mother had always been a drinker. Part of her attraction to her lover was that they drank together during the day while my dad was at work and I was at school. She'd been drinking when he confronted her about the affair, so she probably doesn't remember what she told him. She probably doesn't remember telling Ellie any of this either. She got my father's blood type wrong. He's AB, so an offspring of his with a type O. Mother has to be an A like me or a B. He was so angry about her affair, he didn't bother to tell her that she got his blood type wrong. He's never told her. My father laughed and said if I'm really worried about it, we can get a DNA test. I said, that's okay, we don't need that. It didn't fare well with the latest DNA test. Okay, good. Hallelujah. He then turned serious and said, you've been my son for 35 years. Do you think some blood test, regardless of the results, will change my feelings towards you? Awesome, Dad. I looked at him with the same serious expression and replied that he's crazy if he thinks he's better looking than me. I'm way better looking than you. We both laughed. I'll ask for a raise tomorrow. What's next? You going to compare dick sizes? Well, I know I got a bigger one than you, Pop. Ha ha ha. I didn't know about him transferring stock to me. He explained the stock is in my name and encumbered by restrictions my father has put in place. I can't sell or transfer the stock to anyone but my dad. The stock can't be registered to anyone but me or my father. I can't borrow against it, the stock. I make no money from the stock, no profit sharing. At this point, the stock is essentially worthless to me. At this point, worthless to Ellie in a divorce. Aha. Until I'm a majority shareholder, the company really my father controls all the stock, including what he transferred to me. All that will change when I become majority stockholder in a few years, long after my divorce is final. I asked him why he never told about getting the gift to me, or gifting the stock to me. He said it made no material difference in my life. I couldn't do anything with the stock. He was going to tell me when I was closer to owning the company and we need to start the paperwork. I always knew I would inherit. This was just a simple way to give the company to me while legally avoiding taxes. Well, shh, we don't want you-know-who to hear that. Although if it's avoidance, not evasion, then we're okay here. But nevertheless, let's keep that stuff quiet. So Ellie has nothing on me. I still have plenty on her. I've talked with Ken about this. He's now hesitant about using the plane ticket. He's cooled off some about Karen's past behavior. He'll never take her back, but at least Karen is trying to turn her life around and wants to give her the chance to do that. Look, I'm all for Karen turning her life around, and she can be a better mother to her children. But Ken ain't taking her back. He doesn't want to make things harder for her. She's the mother of his kids, and it's difficult enough for them without their mother facing jail time. I tell him there's no turnaround for women like Karen. They don't change. He said he thinks she's genuine about being a better person. He really is a good guy, unlike me. Yeah, in the moment, because women are about feelings in the moment. In the moment, she may be feeling that she wants to turn things around and convinced herself of that. But no, these types do not change. There's a point of no return. I still want to make Ellie's life as hard as possible for her. even more so since she's tried to blackmail me. A gal like Ellie is a bully, and bullies only respond to strength. If you aren't equally as vicious, it's not going to respect you and will interpret that as weakness and keep coming at you. Remember that. Karen is also not one of my favorite people, but all I have to do is wait until after both Ken and I are divorced. At the very least, I'll use her admission of an affair with a coworker to get Ellie fired from her job. Ken and I will revisit using the ticket when we are no longer married. Karen and Ellie used to use and exploit Ken and me for others for their own amusement. They deserve payback. You're darn right. But be patient. Our last discussion about the plane ticket and Ken's reluctance to use it was a few weeks ago. Ken called me from his car last Saturday morning on his way to his parents with his kids. He told me Karen is sleeping with her boss and with other guys. Well, hang on. Didn't she say she's been celibate for a whopping whole 2 months? I guess maybe a whopping whole 2 days. I asked how he found out. He said Karen had the kids for a sleepover the night before. She had them Thursday, her usual night, and Friday night because Ken is taking the kids Saturday, Ken's usual weekend day with the kids. The plan was for him to pick them up at her apartment to go to his parents Saturday morning. There was a script about time that he was going to get the kids. He arrived 2 hours before Karen expected him. Karen's apartment is on the ground floor. You pass a sliding glass door to have her living room walking to her front door. He looked through the sliding door and saw his kids sleeping on the living room rug, pillows and blankets. He wondered why they were asleep on the rug and not in bed with Karen. When he saw a pair of men's shoes next to the front door, he knew why they weren't with Karen. She's having her lovers come over when the kids are there. Sounds to me Karen is looking for a backup plan. A new sucker, no offense Ken, a new sucker to provide for her so she no longer has to live in an apartment and work as a receptionist. That's what I think is going on here. Or she just can't, God forbid, go a couple days without some dick. He knocked and heard his daughter calling to her mother that someone's at the door. He knocked again and heard Karen ask who it is. He answered, and Karen said that what was he doing here so early? He asked her to open the door and let him in. She told him wait a minute and eventually cracked the door. She was in a robe. They're always in a robe. He asked why the kids weren't ready to go. She said that Ken was supposed to get them at 10 o'clock in the morning, not 8 a.m. Ken should come back later. No, I'm not coming back later. Take your fucking robe off, put some normal clothes on, kick your temporary boyfriend out of here, and get the kids ready. Ken says she got the time wrong. Regardless, he's here now. Let's get the kids dressed, and she reluctantly let him in. She was very nervous. The shoes were gone from the front door, and her bedroom door was closed. Karen asked Ken to come back later. Ken said, need to use the bathroom that's right next to the bedroom. Karen was now frantic, but she could not tell Ken he can't use the bathroom. Ken walked towards the bathroom, but opened the bedroom door instead. A man was lying in Karen's bed. Ken introduced himself and asked the guy's name. He told Ken his name, and very civil, Ken asked how he met Karen. Long story short, he's her boss, and they've been hooking up since Karen started working about 2 months ago. Hooking up with her boss. What I tell you is she's finding her next sucker to provide for her. He spent the night on Fridays. Karen didn't want to miss having SCX just because she had the kids here, so here he is. Her boss went on that it's not some big romantic thing with Karen. He knew of at least one other coworker that Karen's also seeing. He didn't care as long as he had his Friday nights. I don't care, dude. You got fucking little kids out there and you're pulling this shit, you fucking scumbag. Well, hopefully this will help Ken in the divorce proceedings and custody. As soon Ken opened the bedroom door, Karen started sobbing. She rushed to the bedroom and hugged Ken, telling him it was a mistake. That she loves Ken. The guy told her she had to have SCX with him to get the job. At this point, I'm believing the guy, not her. And to keep the job. She really needed the job to get away from Ellie and her mother because that's what Ken wanted her to do. Oh, so it's Ken's fault. She's forced to do this. She'll quit the job right now if Ken wanted. She turned to her boss and yelled at him to get out of her house. All this while Ken and her boss had a calm, civil discussion about Karen's adventures with him and the other coworker Karen's boss knew about. Jerry. Ken told Karen to get the kids ready to leave. Karen was crying, dressing the kids, yelling for her boss to get out, and pleading with Ken to stay and talk to her. Despite Karen yelling at him to leave, her boss didn't get out of bed. Ken didn't respond to Karen's pleading. Instead, Ken told her that she was effing some man all night with his 3-year-old and his 1-year-old there sleeping on the floor. He told her to say goodbye to the kids. She won't be seeing them again until they're in college. He yelled at the guy in the bedroom that Karen would now have Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays free. He should book some sessions with her before they were all taken by the other guys. He could hear Karen wailing all the way to the car. Of course. Little Kristen Bell here. Karen really might not see them again until they're in college. A separation agreement with Karen gives Ken complete control of the kids. He says if and when Karen can see them under what circumstances. He got this agreement when he told her about the plane ticket and that he could use it to send her to jail. Always good to hold all the cards in a negotiation. This is why I told you from the first videos, hold on to the proof about them doing that whole thing with the plane ticket and swapping licenses and all that. Hold on to that. That's your insurance policy. And now he can have this and use this. Ken and I were still on the phone. He asked me if I thought Karen was still seeing her mother and Ellie and exposing the kids to them. Good question. I said I don't know. Ellie knew that Karen was working as a receptionist, so maybe they were still in touch. Maybe Ellie heard that from their father. It wouldn't surprise me if Karen was lying about cutting off contact with her mother and Ellie. They're all pathological liars, so you can't rule anything out. Ken didn't say anything. I heard his car radio, so I knew he was still on the phone. I waited, and after what seemed like a full minute, he finally said, Karen told me for the 100th time last week that she would never have sex with anyone else but me ever again. I honestly don't care who she hooks up with, but you really can't believe anything they tell you, can you? He finally made the sad discovery that they never change. There's no new leaf that Karen is turning over. Same old Karen. To lighten the mood, I said, divorce, then plane ticket. He laughed and said he'd see me on Thursday. See, Ken obviously is not as far along as our man Phil here, but he's realizing what Phil has been telling him. And Phil's learned things through his own tough experiences, and obviously things through the countless stories that he gets on this channel and other channels like mine. I wonder if his daughter mentioned to Ken about a guy hanging around her mom. I wonder if Ken went to Karen's early on purpose to see about this guy. I don't know if 3-year-olds notice things like that, but something brought Ken to Karen's apartment early. It wasn't some confusion about pickup time. I don't think Ken cares what Karen does unless it affects the kids. But I did learn a valuable lesson. Ken has heard a million times from SSM, the SSM community, and me that he can't trust anything Karen tells him. But he had to find it out for himself. Now he knows. You can never believe anything they tell you. They never change. It's an unfortunate reality, proven true time and time again. How did I respond to Ellie and her threat to blackmail me? I did nothing. When my attorney called to say that he had heard from Ellie's attorney that the divorce is off, I told him, nope, we're going ahead with the divorce using the settlement we both signed. Nothing will prevent me from divorcing this woman. Meanwhile, this is after he had the conversation with his old man, but she doesn't know that. When Ellie realized that her blackmail was not going to work, that the divorce was still on, she called my father. He told me he answered because he thought it would be fun to hear what she had to say. Ellie told him the story from my mother that he's not my father. She was crying during the conversation, but very sympathetic and apologetic. She told him she thought my father should know. She told my father she already told me about this, but I was too cowardly and greedy to tell my father and possibly lose the inheritance. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. All I ever cared about is my father's money. More tears. It was painful for Ellie to tell my father about this, but it was the right thing to do. Doesn't she think her father knows her character, that she's a professional bullshitter and everything else she's been doing, and he's not going to believe her crying and carrying on and doing this to help him out? My father thanked her for letting him know. The information changes everything. He told her he would immediately fire and disinherit me. He would get me to move out of his life for good. He told Ellie that I was a lazy, good-for-nothing leech, but kept me around because he thought I was his son. And she's buying into this shit. Now he'd finally be rid of me. He could not thank Ellie enough for telling him. He admired her courage and honesty. It was refreshing. Qualities his phony son did not have. He knew how difficult it was to tell him. She helped my father avoid a huge mistake. He will forever be in her debt. And her Mr. Grinch fucking smile started going again. Ellie believed the bullshit. She asked my father if there's anything she can do for him. She knows it's traumatic for him. It's been traumatic for her as well. Maybe my father and her can meet for coffee and talk about it. Oh my God, she wants to fuck your dad. This is where we're going here. Or she could come by his place. What? To play Candyland? They could try to get through this together. Support each other through this ordeal. Would my father want that? My father said he'd really like that. He told her he's always been fond of her. She's intelligent, honest, and very attractive. Maybe dinner next week at his place, he'll call her. He says, SSM, don't worry, he's not calling Ellie. My father could not stop laughing when he told her all about her call. Ellie hitting on my dad. Well, he's wealthy and available, but cheating sluts are just not his type. Freaking hilarious. Shout out to the old man for doing that one. As of yet, I have not blocked Ellie. Why? She calls, but I never answer or respond to her except through the lawyers. Good, let them handle it. This drives her nuts. I got a voicemail from Ellie shortly after she talked to my father. She said she told my father everything. He made it clear to her that I will soon be out of his life and fired, disinherited, and on the street. She continued that she and my father have developed a close personal bond because of the shared ordeal I put them through. She and my father have plans to explore the new relationship further. Oh my God. Dinner next week, and she laughed and asked if she would still be my stepmom when she marries my father, if I'm not really my father's kid. It doesn't matter. I'll be out of both their lives for good. Don't expect an invitation to their wedding. She finished by asking, who has the last laugh now, asshole? She hung up, talk about delusional. He says, sorry, Ellie, I'm still my father's life and will continue to be. But you won't be in my life for much longer. Nothing but good news for me, divorce, then plane ticket. And that is the end of part 8 and where things are right now. That was a great update, man, and I think it's hilarious how this whole thing went down. And you were obviously a hell of a writer, and you've been spending too much figuring this shit out and putting it to paper. Now, a lot of people are still going to say this is bullshit, or AI wrote this, Chat GPT, or some goddamn thing like that. I can't keep up with the AI stuff right now. It's happening too fast. That guy was hired by Microsoft, so we'll see what Microsoft does with the AI. Financial news of the day, the Chat GPT guy goes over to Microsoft. I'm sure some of you business folks saw that. But anyhow, great story. Keep us all updated on this whole thing. But again, guys, Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. And so many lessons in this story, I can't begin to list them. But he did mention to me in the email that he wrote to me. He wrote me an email, then he attached this story to it, that their dad, the a-hole, his a-hole wife and her a-hole sister's dad, now watches the channel. He's getting ready to kick the wife to the curb, and he's thinking about sending me his perspective and story. So if you guys would like to hear the dad's point of view of this whole story, let me know in the comment section, and I'll definitely reach out to this dude and see if we can get the girl's father to share his side of the story. But this is just the fucked up gift that keeps on giving. So anyhow, Phil, best of luck. I'm glad you played this well, and keep me posted down the road. Any more crazy shit happens, we'd love to hear it. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy also know what you think. And gentlemen, if you have a great story you'd like to share, email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And this also includes any wild-ass stories you find on Reddit that I can do with the other channels, They Did What, and SSM Clips. And if you guys haven't signed up for my other channels, please do. Even if you don't watch them, sign up. It helps me, because right now, as many of you are well aware, let's just say individuals in this community aren't exactly getting a whole lot of love from the overlords of the platform. You know what I'm talking about here. So anytime you can share my stories, recommend me to your friends and family, that will be a big help, because they sure as hell aren't recommending me now. But I appreciate all your loyal support. I absolutely do every day. I love what I do, and I'm glad I can help you guys out and provide good information as well as good quality entertainment every day. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.